Hey everyone. So here's my response to Unit 6, the Fred factor. Um, the response to thoughts and insights. Based off the video that was shown. The Fred the mailman. Went above and beyond his, I guess, his role as the employee of the the post office, and really went out for engaging the customers and really made it positive, because I'm sure that seeing other people smile made his day. And I'm sure a mailman could just go around dropping mail all day long with no communication, no engagement, no interaction with people, no livelihood to the position of dropping off mail. Um, my thoughts on the clip itself. Some notes that I took. You must continually create value for others, and it doesn't cost a thing. And my experience is coaching. Simply keeping someone engaged and motivated, even when they're at their lowest point. For example, I had a student athlete who was hurt every week for 2 years. While coaching track, and I knew he was growing into his body. He was a tall young man. You could tell he was just kind of really lengthy, and he was going to be a 6'3" guy, and but yet he was still out there showing motivation, showing team support. I continued to encourage him to come out. He was hurt every day. It hurt me to see him hurt every day. We'd have one good week, and then he'd have two bad weeks for that one good week. And I just told him, to keep focused. I kept him smiling every day, and it turns out his senior year, well, I moved high schools, and his senior year, he ended up having one of the best years that anyone in the valley has ever ran in our league. He ended up running 4:22 for the mile, 1:54 for the 800, which are remarkable times in the track and field world. The constant motivation was to have education paid for, so he ended up transferring to San Marcos, Cal State San Marcos. Now he's running for Steve Scott, one of the best coaches, that there are for milers. And I've stayed in contact with him, and he just ran 3:59 for 1,500 meters, which is about a 4:15 mile if you translate the time. So he stayed motivated, and I think that's what the success, what they referred to the success is built on relationships. Um, you can, and another example was, you can lighten someone, or you can lighten someone burden or add to it. Um, and I think, just continuing to lighten them up. Obviously, I could have been negative and said, hey, you know what, you're hurt. Maybe try a different sport, or, this isn't for you, or maybe you should just give up. I could have been negative, seeing those things that were happening to him. But, I kept pushing, and I knew that one day he was going to have that day or that year, and it finally came. And to see him on a full ride scholarship, doing what he loves, that's what made what made me feel whole. Um, and again, that's engagement. I think he believed in what I was really saying to him, and it was authentic. And I think students sense the authenticity when we communicate with them, when we engage with them. If you truly believe, then they're gonna believe. And everyone makes a difference. We had teammates encouraging. It's always good when you build a relationship amongst your peers, your students, for everyone to be on the same plate. Um, Another example I had, I had a freshman 10 years ago that I coached. He worked hard for 3 years, 3.5 years, saw very minimal improvement. He wasn't really a racer. He could practice. He could practice 100%, but when it came to races, he just had the most nervous breakdown. Um, but again, we just kept on encouraging him, and then one day he just had the confidence to go out and handle business on the track, and he ended up running 1:59 for 800, which is remarkable. Um, and I think it's constantly adjusting and engaging with the students to learn what it is that they're afraid of, what it is that that keeps them smiling. What keeps the sport fun. And I think that relates to, you can reinvent yourself regularly. So, you know, bringing a different approach to the student, That way it doesn't get monotonous, and it applies in the classroom as well. If we go through the same routine, same process every day, I think students get bored and we notice it. Well, at least I notice it sometimes. And I'll randomly stop. If I feel that I have students zoning out, we'll randomly stop and say, hey, you know what? Let's change something up right now. And then they wake up. They look like they're ready to give feedback on certain tasks. So I think that's how I relate to reinventing yourself regularly. Um, you must continually create value for others, and it doesn't cost a thing. So I went over that. And again, here's another ordinary or superbly. I think just being positive every day. I think it obviously it takes some reading, and it takes you as either a teacher or a coach, continuing education. Engaging with other coaches or engaging with other teachers and how they teach, and maybe sitting through some lessons of theirs. I know I've done that a couple times. Just picking out, even if it's the smallest thing that you may think is not a big deal. That small thing may be a huge learning tool for your students. And I think that's how I feel about Fred the mailman going above and beyond, and just really making his day better, making his life better by the interaction with others. So, as the Colossians quote, whatever you do, work heartily as for the Lord and not for the men. So I think that relates to just being authentic. There's a lot of people that don't seem to be authentic and to be truthful in what they're saying and honestly believing what it is they're preaching to people. So I think if we're honest with ourselves, that goes a long way and doing what it is that we believe. I think that's where the true heart comes in, and that's when people, students, peers, colleagues, other teachers, administration, everyone notices. I walk in, hey, good morning, how's everyone doing? And everybody has a smile on their face. I know I'm going a little over on the video, but another example, I've had coaches and I've had students tell me, hey, security they're always having a bad day, or they don't ever seem to be smiling, and so I did a little investigating of myself. I just approached security guards that I had never seen before, and I just went around, hey, good morning, how's it going, how you doing, how did you wake up this morning? And and from then, now they engage me before I engage them. They see me and they're like, hey, good morning, how's it going, coach? And I feel like I made a difference in their life, because now they have someone to approach. If they have something that comes up, and with securities, we always need them. I mean, as teachers and coaches, because they're the ones that open all the gates, and they're the ones that, if we have to call them when we're in class to pick up a student, or for whatever reason we need them. Now, I've had to use them a couple times to open up the weight room, and that's a burden to some security guards, but for me, when I call, they're smiling, they're saying, hey, okay, cool, I'll go open the door for you, whatever else you need, just let me know. So I think engagement is the biggest thing. If we can't make assumptions based off not attempting to engage with one another, I can't say that, hey, this guy's not helping me out if I don't even try to communicate with him in the first place. So that's major. Engagement's major, and just being positive. So that's my insight on my thoughts for the discussion.